Hello, my name is Liam, also known as Wally online. I'm an entrepreneur. I actually sold $150,000 of Cutco knives. I could make a video on that separately, the pyramid scheme, yeah. And now I run a small fitness coaching business online. I am currently writing my first book. And the way I would think, if you don't know me, the way I would consider our YouTuber to viewer relationship is that I'm like a really weird friend who does various weird things you wouldn't do, such as fast for 3 days, often read. I've probably read 200 books in the past year and a half, and I write a lot. I post myself on the internet every day. So I'm just doing these things that I think people, I'm 20 years old, so I think people my age are curious about, but don't really do. So it's interesting to see a person involved in these things. And I feel like I would be a person that you might respect just for the fact that I'm doing something you wouldn't do, but then you would think, okay, well, I would never do that shit. And then I tell you about what it's like. All right. So I would just say at the very least, this video, this podcast is not for anyone who doesn't enjoy learning, doesn't enjoy contemplating life and deep topics. All right. So without further ado, let's hop into it. I want to first talk about Ozempic. Obviously, I'm a online fitness coach, so it's kind of within my scope. But I think with the popularity of Ozempic, I think anyone can talk about it. And I was driving, I'm on a 3 day fast. I'll talk about that later. And I also have no phone. So I was listening to the radio in the car, and 104.7 or something like that, doesn't matter. But they were talking about Ozempic, and the guy on there was saying, I don't think it's cool if people do Ozempic and they lie to me and act like they've been working out. And I actually enjoyed it. I had to pee really bad on the drive back, but that's neither here nor there. And I thought, okay, let me present my opinion for whatever it's worth. I have always had a resentment for people who don't value their health. And I think to take a shortcut to vitality, when I've gone to the gym pretty much every day for 4 years, it the only reason I disagree with it is because of my life experience. If I were 400 pounds and I did Ozempic and lost 200 pounds, then I would give you a completely different opinion. And that could very well be the same me, if that makes sense. We all look at life through a lens. It's like we all have glasses on and they all have a different tint, and it gets tinted by your life experience. So you're going to see things through a certain lens. All right? It's quite simple in that way. Nobody's opinion is right or wrong. It's just their opinion. That's nothing brand new. Okay, I'm not going to pretend that that's an original idea. However, I just would like to state my biases, which I obviously am kind of a health-oriented person. So personally, I just don't agree with Ozempic, only because not that I disagree with pharmaceutical intervention, especially if you're really overweight. However, I would say that you miss out on so much of the positives of working out. That's a sock on my piano, by the way, for the people watching on YouTube. You miss out on so much good stuff you get from working out, and that's why I work out at this point. It's not crazy to enjoy working out. Plenty of people do. I'm not different in that regard. But I don't work out for any other reason. I don't work out to look a certain way. So what I'm trying to get at. It's just not where I'm at. I started because I wanted to look a certain way, but that's not what I do. I do it because it's almost a spiritual thing at this point. Working out is so vital to my day. If I wake up and I don't work out, I can't think. I become irritable. It's like if a girl it's that time of month and she doesn't have chocolate, she's going to be pissed. Same thing if I don't work out. So that's why I do it. And I said earlier I have a resentment for people who aren't they don't value their own health. And that's only because I would disagree with a person like that for so many reasons. I just cannot be close friends with a person who doesn't value their health. It just wouldn't be healthy for me. And it's a lack of respect because I see, well, why don't you value this vessel you've been given? I don't know. That's a topic I need to dive in more in depth. But Ozempic, man, it's just not cool. I just don't see it being cool to not do it on your own. You just kind of rob yourself of so much. But at the same time, I don't think it's cool to be fat either. So do what you got to do. But don't lie. That's what the guy on the radio was saying. He was like, I get mad when people lie. I've made various videos on just not enjoying lying. I think that's really what it comes down to, because I have friends and close friends who aren't exactly ascetic, meaning they're not super disciplined. For instance, my good friend, dude sleeps 15 hours, sleeps all day, doesn't actually do shit, but he is smart. Okay, I'll give him that. But it sounds contradictory because I said I can't value someone, or I wouldn't be friends with someone who's not health conscious. I think I wouldn't value someone or be friends with someone who isn't conscious, meaning who doesn't know that these things are bad. I don't like denial is the real thing. If someone's completely real with me and they know their situation, just like I know my situation, you don't need to watch this video. I'm not a surgeon like Andrew Huberman. I don't have loads of followers. I'm completely aware that you may not respect me in any regard. Although there are a lot of things I've done that people have not done. That's a fact. So it's really just, can you admit to me that, yeah, this isn't good. Being overweight is not good. And then there's this kind of intermediate space where someone does admit that it's not good, but doesn't do anything to change it. And that is, okay, you're not insufferable. I can talk to you on the phone once a month, but we're not hanging out. Let's just be real. I'm not going to hang out with someone who, and not that I'm going to close you off, but just for this, I just don't have fun doing shit that you probably do. So for instance, I've got a friend, let's call him Bobby, and Bobby smokes weed all the time. And I've known him for 8 years, maybe 7 at least. And it's not that I dislike him. And actually, I admire his honesty. He's honest. It's like, yeah, I smoke weed. I don't give a shit. And for that reason, it's cool to talk to him every now and then. I at the end of the day, I just enjoy someone who can be honest. I think everyone should, but we go on and pretend like a certain conformity, just acting like other people is more important than acting how you feel, if that makes sense. I would much rather someone who acts the way they feel than someone who acts the way others act. It's just what I value, and I think a lot of people value that, especially because this AI shit's popping out. So, moving away from Ozempic, I want to talk about, well, somewhat in line with Ozempic is fasting. Who should do it, who shouldn't do it, etc. I'm currently, 40 hours into a fast. And I just want to talk about what you can expect if you were to do it, and why would anyone do it. Again, I'm like a weird friend who you know who does shit and then he just tells you about it so that you can get the lessons without actually having to do the stupid shit that I do. So I thought about that because my mom, I read all these books and then I tell my mom about them, and we're kind of interested in the same thing. She's a therapist, so just some of the psychological, philosophical, spiritual stuff, it's all in that realm. And so I'll tell her about the stuff I read, and she goes on and tells her clients about the same things. And I realize that it's a transfer of value there. She's getting the value from me because she wouldn't have otherwise known this stuff. I went on and read the book, and I told her about key takeaways that were big for me, and then she implements them. That's a transfer of value. And if you're any human, you probably do stuff that other people wouldn't want to do, but people want to know what it's like if they did it. Maybe you play a bunch of ping pong. There is a group of people in the world who are interested in ping pong. Or maybe you messed up really bad in your life. I don't think people value enough what their failures, how much those mean to other people. A failure is just as good as a success, if not better, in teaching people stuff. We always learn more from bad relationships. Maybe you had a toxic girlfriend or a toxic boyfriend, whatever. It's only those that you actually grow. And if a relationship seems too good to be true or maybe dull, it ends anyways. But it seems a little pointless. But when we have a terrible relationship, we're left with this, okay, that was a lot of pain, but now I know how to avoid that. And that is what anyone can do by posting online, which I think is beautiful. And I would say I'm at this weird point where I've done so much content to deserve followers. And I have followers. I'm at 10K on TikTok. I just hit 10K. And then I'm at 1.97 on YouTube, which YouTube's been very stagnant. And I attribute all that to me. It's all my fault. But I think it's going to come down to doing little things like branding. Maybe I do a segment every week where I do a podcast, which I think is cool. I might do a podcast. But I think my biggest problem, and I'll tie this back to fasting, don't worry. I think the biggest downfall or the only stagnation in my channel is simply because people don't know what to expect from me. When I go and watch Sneeko, for instance, Sneeko is a guy, I enjoy his cinematic style. And so half of it is that I know what to expect from that guy. I know that if I'm in a certain mood, if I want to watch something cinematic, I know I can go to Sneeko. People need to be able to expect what they're going to get from you. And so it's consistency in the type of video you're making. I think that's what I lack. And you can see in these 30 days I've done 30 days of Wally. So I'm on day 23 right now. And I just uploaded every day, and I told myself I need to edit every video, need to get outside. It's kind of been a windy road, I'll admit. Like, I'm not going to be outside in this video. I'm on a fast, and I don't have a phone. All excuses. Yeah, I have a camera I could take outside. But this is just what I want to post today, to be frank. And because of that, I think people see my channel and they just don't know what to expect. One day I post a cinematic ass video. The next day I'm driving in my car talking about Lizzo. Then the next day I'm on a podcast talking about Ozempic. Lizzo, then Ozempic. But that's not correlated. What I'm getting at is that an effort I'm trying to make is to brand myself a little better. So maybe I have a segment every week like this podcast. I think that's a really great idea. I had that in the shower. It's not that I can't be diverse, but being consistent in my diversity. So maybe I do 2 cinematic videos a week, 2 driving videos, and 2 podcast videos. I don't know. But people, I think, do not know what to expect from my videos. And I think for that reason, they don't click on them. But I'm going to say right now, if I watched YouTube more often, which the more I've made YouTube videos, the less I actually watch YouTube. But if I was a consistent viewer, bro, I would eat my shit up. I would love my type of content. And in that statement, I find a bit of comfort knowing that I'm doing something I want to do. I'm doing something that makes me happy. But at the same time, I want to make an impact. I want to help people. And quite frankly, I want this to be my job eventually. And in that process, other people just need to watch. So I'm going to connect this to fasting. The reason I did this fast was because it is a very spiritual experience, especially 3 days, where when you're in your typical state, you're eating food, your brain is getting sugar. The brain typically runs on sugar, but I would argue that it running on sugar isn't the most contemplative, the most introspective it can be. So I've noticed, especially in this fast, but the other ones as well, I've done this 3 times, 3 days that is. I've just noticed that what I suppress comes up when I fast. So you can suppress a lot of your emotions just with eating, and I eat healthy. If you're on cam, look at my guns, as in my arms, to clarify. So I eat well. And I wake up, my breakfast is 6 eggs every day. I've done this for, 4 years. I eat the same breakfast. It's 6 eggs. And then now I'm on sourdough bread. For a while I was scared of bread, but I like it. Anyhow, when you are consistently eating food, you are feeding the brain with sugar, glucose. And if you think about the daily ups and downs, which I was completely unaware of prior to doing a fast. There's so many daily ups and downs. You wake up, you're hungry for food, and you drink coffee. There we get an up. The coffee's great. Cool. I drink coffee too. Then you go on, you work until lunchtime. And once lunchtime hits, you get hungry, you eat food, and then your energy drops again. And then by nighttime, you're hungry for food. And so the way I see it after not eating for 3 days is that much of my day is comprised of thinking about the next meal. And in that, I find a lot of comfort in being able to eat food that tastes good. Rightfully so. I think food should taste good, and I think we should enjoy it. But only when you remove food do you realize how dependent you were, how much it suppressed things in your psyche. So let me give you an example. This clarity that I've had around my YouTube channel, which I was seeking by doing the fast, I got from the fast, if that makes sense. So I wanted to just reveal to myself and gain some clarity around where I'm at in my life, because I have all these aspirations, and I'm the type of person where I will just chug through no matter what. Consistency is never my issue. And so in that, there's some security in that I'm never going to stop making YouTube videos. I'm never going to stop working out. I'm never going to stop doing jujitsu. I'm never going to stop reading books. It's just not. It's not going to happen. I'm going to die while doing those things. I don't start anything without the intent to do it for the rest of my life. That being said, I can just so mindlessly do these things consistently. And that's fine. However, there is a part of me that wants to speed up this process to achieving my goals, which my goals are really just for YouTube to be a thing of leverage for me, where I know I have a group of people who enjoy me, and I'm just in the process of getting in touch with those people. But I want to build up a community of people who enjoy me, and I want it to be able to be my job if I want it to. I just want to lead my life with passion, and creating stuff is inevitably what that looks like for me. I think it is for more people than we think. More people would enjoy making stuff. It's just what type of stuff do you want to make and how do you want to make it? So the fast has just revealed to me, okay, and it's just because there's no ups and downs of food. It's just revealed that, okay, I don't think people know what I'm going to post. And it's little things. These are little shifts that are going to create massive changes. And I could attribute it to a new year, maybe. I don't know. I don't know what it is. I don't know why I'm starting to think differently. But it's little changes. It's in my intro. I need to make these videos for people who don't know me. That's what I tried to do and set up this podcast. And I'm just yelling at myself, and hopefully this is of value to you. And this is still about fasting, okay, I promise. But I gained so much clarity from a fast. I can hear better when I'm fasted. I can literally hear more sounds. My visual perception of the world is enhanced greatly. It is literally like you have glasses on that slow everything down. And one thing that cripples people is just a lack of control and the feeling that life is moving way too quickly. Everyone has had a thought, oh my gosh, a year just went by. One of the ways you can take control is by doing something simple like a fast. And I'm not going to say that it's easy. Yesterday, I wanted food very badly. But if you can control your hunger, which no one does to the amount that you have to in a 3-day fast, you can control anything. And this is connected to Ozempic now. What I find marveling about Ozempic is that it's largely an appetite suppressant. There are metabolic effects, but for the most part, it's just because people cannot control the amount of food they put in their mouth. And we say it's a miracle drug, but all it does is just suppress the release of a certain chemical, ghrelin, I believe is the transmitter or whatever chemical that makes you hungry. It's called ghrelin. All it does is just suppress your appetite. I find it crazy. And again, this is the lenses I look through because I fast, right? If I did Ozempic, I would probably have a decent hypothesis for Ozempic. But I don't. I, in fact, fast for 3 days every now and then. And so obviously I'm not going to agree with Ozempic. It's quite predictable, okay? I don't have some clever clever thing to say. Maybe I do, maybe I don't. I don't know. You can make that decision, but I think fasting it's almost a drug-like experience where a drug, specifically the psychedelic drugs, which I, through books, experimented and researched heavily, just fascinated with the ability to tap into something that you can't do in your normal state and actually come back with something meaningful. I thought psychedelics were actually insightful. And you can actually achieve very similar effects through fasting. And in fact, the last fast, I didn't do properly. I definitely didn't hydrate enough, and I overtrained. I trained as I regularly would. So I went to the gym 5 a.m., not a flex, and then I went to jiu-jitsu at 12. And I don't know what it was, but I felt deathly ill on the last day, just sluggish as hell. And I woke up, felt horrible on the last day, and it was fucking leg day. And then I dragged myself to the gym, used light ass weights that felt incredibly heavy, could barely move. I just wanted to sit down. All I could do was sit down in between sets. I could barely stand, barely walk. And so this fasting stuff it's not a joke. It's definitely, it's dangerous. But at the same time, so are drugs, okay? You could do a psychedelic drug, and that's more dangerous than fasting. But really, it only takes about 20 to 24 hours, and you start feeling a heightened consciousness. You perceive way more. Things start to feel more interesting. I talk to my mom, and I'm just so interested in what she's saying about work. It's cool. If you want to connect with people, do a fast with them. And I've coupled it with not having a phone, which is a whole nother topic in itself. I think the two together are really just a intense practice of asceticism, just discipline. But doing one or the other, I think, is probably a better place to start. So when you go without your phone, oh my gosh, I think that's probably the biggest productivity hack I could possibly think of. And that's trivial. Everyone's heard that before. People probably assume that that's the first thing they should do to take control of their productivity. But even still, I am amazed at where my brain goes, even if what I do most often on a regular basis is I don't go on my phone in the morning. I allow the morning to be a creative space where I write and read. And let's do this so I look smart. Oh, yeah. I look freaking smart. So the morning is this time for me where I let ideas flow. And this is when I have food. Holy shit, I get a lot of stuff done. Let's try this one. Even when I have food, I get so much stuff done. My greatest ideas come when my phone is out of reach, restricted, gone. So I think try one or the other. And I made this distinction in the shower earlier. The phone is great to get rid of if you just want a massive productivity boost. The fast is good to do if you want to find some clarity on stuff that you're unsure of, or if you want to bring up things you're suppressing and neglecting. You're going to be met with reality when you fast. Yesterday, as soon as I got hungry, which was I ate 4 p.m. Sunday, and then Monday, which was yesterday, when around 1 p.m. rolled around, dude, I felt lonely. And that was accompanied by the lack of phone. But when you get rid of something, you realize how chained you were by it. And that's the value I see in fasting, is just realizing where you're really at mentally and physically, but mostly mentally. I don't really care about the physical effects of fasting, at least because I'm 20 years old, so who gives a shit? I'm peak physical potential, but it's all mental, man. And even your health is quite mental. It's mental to make yourself go to the gym. It's mental to make yourself eat the right things, and you gain complete control of your life if you go without food. And I don't want to make it seem like you need to do 3 days. Bro, start with 24 hours. It's just eating dinner and then waiting till dinner the next night. That's not crazy. That's not restrictive. Well, it is. Technically, you're restricting, but you'll understand what it feels like. Day 2 of a fast is more so your body has accepted the hunger, and it comes in waves. So a lot of times people who fast say just go for a walk if you're hungry. But fasting, it's incredibly hallucinogenic. On the last fast I did, which I undernourished in that I didn't drink enough water, didn't have any electrolytes, which just made me think I need to go get some damn water. On the second night, I was talking to myself. My brain was somewhere else. It was hallucinogenic as hell. I was just sitting here, just strumming away on my guitar. I didn't have a phone either. Just strumming away on my guitar. You will genuinely feel like you have gone to another planet if you don't eat. And it comes in waves. It comes and goes. But maybe that was because I was close to death. That sounds pretty cool, so we'll go with that. But it's interesting. I thought of talking about Ozempic and fasting. I don't know. I'm so biased. We're all biased. It's tough. You just go to a bias that you're also biased by. That's just what life is. You just follow a bias, which is based upon your life experiences, which is the goggle analogy I made. We all got these goggles on, and our vision is tainted by our life experience through these goggles. And removing the goggles is a skill. That's objectivism. And I first became aware of that. It was right when I got to college, so a year and a half ago, which is when all this started. My YouTube started. You can go back and watch videos. I was filming on the same shitty webcam, which is hilarious. I think it's funny that I film these cinematic videos in 4K, and then the next day I'll put a podcast up on a 480p webcam that was $26 on Amazon. And maybe that is my brand, by the way. I hope that can be my brand. It probably would take a little longer, which is the only trade-off. But I would love for my brand to be randomness, but meaningful randomness. I'm going to write that down, actually. I don't know why. I just, every company has a few words that describe them. And I think of Apple because I read Steve Jobs' biography by Walter Isaacson. And he has this saying simplicity is the ultimate sophistication. I don't know exactly what Apple's motto is, but they incredible branding across the board from Steve Jobs. It's really simplicity is their brand. What if meaningful randomness could sum up my channel? That could be a really shitty idea. It could be a good idea. I'll think on it. That's why I wrote it down. Capturing thoughts is important. I love podcasts, dude. I'm sorry. I have to make myself create regular videos because I could just talk to the shit all day. And maybe that's something to think about. Maybe doing a podcast and then clipping it up is something to consider. Definitely something to consider. That's the branding, is making a long form piece and then clipping it. Definitely. That's essentially what the biggest people do. And for reference, I watch Theo Vaughn a lot. Theo Vaughn he's a comedian, okay? So he has expertise in humor. But other than that, he talks about a wide variety of topics, has a wide variety of people on. It's free flowing, it's fluid. I don't want to be stuck talking about books or some shit. But I've made videos about books and they get a lot of views. But I'm not just a book. I'm not just a writer. I'm more, and I don't know of this more that I want to be the most. Being completely real. In this segment, I don't know. I mean, I'm just contemplating my YouTube, thinking about it. But maybe you're a content creator and you're watching this and you can relate. I don't know. I do not know how many people there are out there who make videos every single day and haven't hit it big yet. You just don't see people who are in the process or are in the grind. It's crazy. It's crazy to think about. And I there's going to be someone who watches this podcast. That's the cool thing about posting these videos, and at least where I'm at now, I've got 2,000 subs. People watch it, okay? Someone will watch my shit. And it's like, I'm doing what I want to do, just at a smaller scale. I have this expectation in my mind that I need to be popping as soon as possible. But brother, I'm doing it. I don't know, man. I don't know. But when I think about it logically, with the volume I put into this, I cannot imagine that I die before I get 100,000 subscribers or some shit like that. Until this becomes my job, I couldn't imagine that I die before that occurs. And I'm okay with having a job. All right. One of the skills in pursuits I took upon myself was to be the happiest person in Virginia. I'm not going to say in America because that's a lofty goal, but I just want to be. Happiness is a skill. I've gotten so much fucking happier. It's a skill. I could make a video on that. I'm definitely qualified to talk about that. That's probably what I'm most qualified to talk about, is how to become happy. Another realization. How to become happy. That's kind of a central tenet of my brand, is just the pursuit of happiness. Very relatable. Okay. All right. It's like I'm figuring out branding on this podcast. But we got another 20 minutes on here. I love long form content though. You just kind of, when you watch a stream or a podcast, you almost are hanging out with the person making it. I think there's such a closeness about streaming or a podcast. You really get to know the person on there. And I think that's important for me long term to remember, is that I can get on here and make a podcast if I want to. What's stunted me from doing that in the past is simply that I don't think anyone would watch it. But I'm sure 20 people will probably watch this. And if I titled it and thumbnailed it correctly, you clicked on the video because I titled it correctly, and then I introed it correctly so that you know what to expect throughout this shit. That's really what it's about. And one of the topics I wanted to talk about was the psychology of social media. People only watch what other people already watch. When I scroll through TikTok or Instagram Reels, if a post has 1 like, I'm not going to watch that shit. So there's a certain reality where if you don't have a certain momentum, it's just a waiting game until you get the momentum you need. And you only need momentum once. Because at a certain point, you have a certain follower count. You just have credibility at that point. That's really what I'm fighting for. That's really what I'm working towards, is a momentum build. That's just what I want. And Naval has a concept. Naval Ravikant, investor, wrote an incredible book. Best book I've ever read. Changed my life. The Almanac of Naval Ravikant. He has a concept where he's not full Buddhist in that Buddhists would say to renounce everything. That's the traditional Buddhist belief, is to free yourself of desire completely. Just to not want anything. Because to not want something is as good as having it. But what Naval says to do is that that's kind of an empty existence. And in fact, renouncing everything is harder than simply getting the thing that you want and then worrying about happiness later, in a sense. And what he really means is that have one overarching desire, one thing that you pursue with passion and maybe sometimes you worry about. And everything else, you let go. And for me, the one thing is my YouTube. I am so heavily in the pursuit of YouTube excellence. As crazy as that sounds. I think about whoever's, if you know me and you listen to that, you think, this guy's a fucking dork. This guy is probably not going to get YouTube excellence. But at least I'm going to keep posting like I will. There's a quote I think about often, which is just that if you want something to be your job, treat it like it already is. I made that quote, by the way. If you want something to be your job, treat it like it already is. I used to be of the notion that commitment is to have no plan B. I used to think, because at first I told my parents I didn't want to go to college, which is absolutely stupid because my dad has a GI Bill because he served in the military, and so I can go to school for free. There's no reason I shouldn't go to college in this instance. I also enjoy learning a lot. Why would I not do that? It's 4 years that I can keep doing what I like doing and also get a degree. I mean, fuck. That's not a bad idea, okay? It's incredibly rational. But I used to think I was wronging myself by not committing wholeheartedly. I used to think it would never happen unless I dropped everything for the thing that I wanted. What a delusion that was. Simply not true. And I think now that just do what you gotta do. Enjoy it all. And at the same time, sleep well at night, knowing that you're chipping away at this massive iceberg. Which for me is this YouTube excellence that I'm talking about. As long as I post my shit for the day, or pretty much just post. It's not that hard. As long as I post for the day and I'm genuinely putting effort into this, I sleep well at night, knowing that I'm moving somewhat towards this goal that I have. It's a chosen desire. Everything else, screw it. I don't care if you cut in front of me in traffic, whatever. I'm doing my thing. I think that's the beauty of having one desire and moving towards it. And even if I'm working a job, I'm not going to pretend like I hate the fucking job. And maybe I do hate the job. But you can enjoy anything. If there's anything I've learned from books where the main character's in prison, most notably A Man's Search for Meaning, which is by Viktor Frankl. It's about a Holocaust survivor. If there's anything I learned from something like that, it's that humans can become accustomed to anything. It's only an initial period of sludge, an initial period of friction that we're uncomfortable. So you can literally enjoy anything. You just wait long enough. Just be patient. And even on the skill really comes in when you narrow the amount of time it takes for you to enjoy a new thing. It's a spectrum. It's a continuum. It's not a either or. It's not like you enjoy everything or you don't. It's a process of leveling up your enjoyment skill, your happiness skill. So you start off, you don't enjoy shit, you have a negative mindset. That's how I was. I literally said that I'm going to hate my life until I'm rich. It's in my journals. It's absolutely stupid. And then Naval came along. Completely well, no. I admired this actually TikTok creator named Carrington. He's kind of a model, but he makes a lot of funny shit. Very authentic guy online, and I admired that early on. And he talked about this book. He reads books. And he talked about the Almanac of Naval. And he said it was the best book. I got it. It was the best book I've ever read. And I've read 200 books at this point, give or take. So trust people's book recommendations. Books really can change your life. Happiness is a skill. What else, man? That's what Theo would say. And I think to cap off this podcast, which I've had a lot of enjoyment making, I made this because what else am I going to do? Just sit here hungry? I'll probably go for a walk after this, but I have officially started writing my book. I've always wanted to write a book. Part of it is the clout. All right, that's the conception of the idea. I thought it'd be cool to write a book. Deep down, that's what my subconscious wanted. But at this point, I write so much. I write every day. And I write well. Objectively, my writing is it's readable. So I'm constructing a book, and initially I thought I want to write nonfiction because I always write in nonfiction. I'm basically just writing notes. And I like that format. I like book Notes from Underground by Dostoevsky. Great book. It's essentially the format that I journal in every day. I love it. But then I thought about how moving it is to witness a fictional character. And you can either explain or you can make people feel something. I think that the feeling is way more impactful. So, and it's also going to be more of a challenge, maybe more fun, if I write something fiction. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to write a fiction book. And I don't know if this is something that I shouldn't talk about because maybe I'll build up some suspense. But I have no idea. It's not like people tell you how to read or write a book. Maybe, I mean, I'm sure there's some shit on that, but that kind of takes away from the most authentic form of a book. And nonfiction's pretty straightforward. You've got either something you research or you've got your own life experience and you just put it on paper. I could easily do that and whip that shit up. But again, I need to be aware of the fact that there's a kind of a superiority complex in the process of writing a book where you just think, oh, I want to call myself an author. That's certainly there. It'd be cool to call myself an author, but I want to make something that challenges me, that's authentic to me, and that's genuinely good. And that could take years, and that's going to be all right. So I pretty much talked about everything I want to talk about on this. This is video number 23 of 30 Days of Wally. If you like my shit, maybe subscribe. If not, no worries, man. You have a good day, man. Enjoy. Peace out.